So last year was Lunar New Year, and I got to spend some time with family. And more specifically, I went down to Chinatown with my mom to enjoy the Chinatown Parade in Vancouver. And it was super cool because it was like snowing really heavily. And I don't know if I can remember another time where it was snowing on a Lunar New Year. It's usually either really rainy or a cold, sunny day, but I don't know if I remember it snowing in Vancouver for Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year. And I brought my Nikon ZF with the 50 millimeter lens and the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I was a little anxious about the Pocket 3 because it was snowing quite heavily and the camera isn't weather sealed. It's actually pretty fragile. And there's a lot of sort of openings where snow could get in and possibly damage the camera. But I'm recording on it right now, and I think it handled it like a champ. Like, it's still going good. It's still running good. Like, didn't have any issues. Obviously, I wasn't like letting snow collect on the camera while I was recording. I was trying to keep it covered as much as possible. And if you're gonna bring out like your Osmo Pocket 3 in the elements, I wouldn't suggest like keeping it in heavy rain or heavy snow out for like prolonged periods, because I don't know if it would survive. But the Nikon ZF and I had the 50 mil 1.4, so I think both of those are weather sealed, so they handled it real good. But yeah, I only took the one lens down. I didn't want to, because of how the weather was, I didn't want to just deal with the hassle of changing lenses in the middle of the snow. And 50 is my favorite focal length anyways, so it was a fun time. Went down there to shoot whatever I could, and yeah, it was super cool seeing how lively Chinatown was. Like, I grew up and spent a lot of time in Chinatown, and so it felt very, I guess, nostalgic or rewarding seeing how lively the neighborhood was. It reminded me a lot of when I was younger. I feel like this is sort of like a classic for any like New Year's parade, is you have to have lion dancing. And when I was younger, I was part of a martial arts club where I did lion dancing as well. And actually, I think I still have a shirt from the club. I will be right back. Yeah, so I do have still have the shirt. Yao Kung Moon. It was cool seeing all these lion dance clubs in Chinatown. It reminded me a lot of like when I was younger and training and practicing. So yeah, that was super cool. Yeah, because it was like snowing and kind of cold outside, I didn't take as many photos as I would have liked. My hands were starting to get cold, and I was wearing some pretty thin gloves. I'm still pretty happy with the photos that I did get. I haven't been going out shooting much lately, so this was like a nice change of pace for me, getting the rust out of my photography. One thing I found challenging about photographing like the parade was there was a lot of volunteers at the event, and they were not super strict, but pretty strict about where you could stand and where you could be. So I wasn't really able to catch too many photos from different angles because of how crowded the space was. There wasn't a lot of room to move between on the sidewalks, and obviously you can't go right in the center of the parade and block all the vehicles driving through the street. And I felt a little creatively challenged. I think I did my best to make do with what I could. One thing I wish, or actually two things I wish I had, was a wider angle lens. The 50 probably still would have caught like, I'd say like the majority of my shots, but there were a couple of moments where I wish I had a wider angle lens so I can capture like a larger field of view, and a longer lens so I can get more emotional shots of the people in the parade, their faces, their reactions, the smiles. as well as people in the crowd as well. This is something that I'll know for next time if I decide to capture the Chinatown Parade again. Yeah, so the Chinatown Parade's pretty cool event. It's pretty high profile. There were a lot of politicians, executives, key figures in like banks and stuff, I think were there. Skytrain CEO was there. So yeah, like the event was pretty poppin'. Like there was a lot of people in the crowds as well. And oh man, I thought it was really interesting how every other person had Osmo Pocket 3. Usually people bring out their phones and stuff, but I didn't realize how popular this camera has gotten. There were so many of them. A lot of people in the crowd had them. People in the parade themselves had them. A lot of the volunteers were shooting on Pocket 3s. I feel like it's super cool seeing how accessible camera gear has gone. Like this camera is so easy to use. I gave it to my mom for a lot of the parade, and she had so much fun just playing with it. There were a couple of people that had a Nikon ZF, and it was super cool. They all came up to me at one point, and we just like fist bumped there. And so many more people I've noticed in recent years are carrying mirrorless cameras now. Like it's for a while now, I felt like everyone just was using their iPhone, but now you're seeing more and more like dedicated cameras. And there were so many people shooting on cameras too. So it's super cool seeing how the photography community doesn't feel as niche as it did when I first started. Like it feels like everyone knows how to use a camera almost. Well, maybe not everyone, but it feels like it's a more popular hobby now. And I think that's super cool. I think I'll keep this video short. I hope y'all have a happy year of the snake.